listening to Let Your Voice Be Heard.
Today, this is a topic. Let's talk about sex. How do we handle this issue?
There are a lot more risky behaviors in drinking or drug use that affect sexual activity.
You might build a community if the police officers make more of an attempt to talk to people. They're going to be people who just don't like the cops. So when we have our guns, then, you know, what's the solution?
Do you welcome homosexuals in your church, Pastor?
I'm never going to treat you differently. Never going to put you down. I'm going to say this to you, though. I'm not gay.
They're not stripping or searching or frisking me.
Let Your Voice Be Heard radio.
Every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And we are back. This is Let Your Voice Be Heard on WHCR 90.3 FM radio, the voice of Harlem. And if I sound more excited than usual, if that's even possible.
She drank a gallon of coffee.
No, it's not just the coffee mixed with the Gatorade. It's not just that. There's something even bigger. We are introducing a very extremely special guest on the line. We have Russell Simmons. Of course, he started off as a groundbreaking pioneer in hip-hop, and we just played some Run DMC, classic Run DMC, My Adidas, of course. And now he turned his platform and his success in hip-hop into different business ventures. He eventually became a New York Times best-selling author, a philanthropist, an activist, a yogi. It's very nice to speak to you, Mr. Russell Simmons.
Quite introduction. Thank you. Happy to be on your radio. What's up?
Yes. So let me just start off with this. Your roots are in hip-hop, and you started off in Hollis, Queens, a few blocks down from where I currently reside in St. Albans. You actually went to City College. We're here at City College right now on WHCR. First question I want to ask is, hold on, let me get to the question.
She's like, flip page.
What is the blueprint that you left for hip-hop artists to reach international fame? What is that blueprint?
Well, it's not a blueprint that I left. It's one left by all the prophets over and over. Everybody who's had success has laid the same groundwork. It's about the idea of focus and dedication and faith. I mean, when we work hard and we're tolerant, and the word resilient, I guess, really comes in. When we work hard and we're resilient, and we keep our head down and on our vision, then it's impossible to fail until we quit. And I think I love the music, and I love what I was doing so much. I did it for love, and when you work that way, and without, without being swayed or distracted, anybody can have success in anything they imagine with this kind of formula. So if there's a blueprint, it's written over and over again. And hard work, dedication, faith, and resilience is the blueprint for all success in any industry.
It definitely is. If you guys are just tuning in, you're listening to Let Your Voice Be Heard. We are speaking with world-known celebrity activist and hip-hop pioneer Russell Simmons. If you guys want to call in because you had a question for Mr. Simmons, the number is 212-650-6903. He just gave some very valuable advice to, making it and reaching a certain plateau of success. Now, just this week in particular, everyone saw Beyonce's Super Bowl extravagant halftime show performance, and there was so much criticism around, her being a part of the Illuminati or some secret society that, helped her reach her success. And Russell Simmons, of course, he was saying, I definitely want to get your feedback on this, Russ, because you were saying that it takes dedication, it takes hard work. It's no sort of, secret society or conspiracy around it. But again, you're saying that the two success are just hard work and dedication. And as cliche as they sound, you're saying that that's exactly what got you to your plateau today, right?
Yeah, well, I'm saying some people look successful in the world. They have things and they have a return on some work that they do. It may be minimal work and it may be great return. But the formula that you can't fail with is the one that's hard work and resilience, right? So, of course, people get worldly success, but the formula for happiness is the work itself. So make your work your prayer. Enjoy your work. You cannot enjoy your riches while you enjoy your work. In fact, you never enjoy your riches. You only enjoy your work. So working is itself the prayer. Working is itself the thing that promotes happiness. When you're making a record, you can't be thinking about the toys you'll get later. It's the intense concentration on the melody that brings you to happiness. It brings you to a space of awareness. And when you honestly can see God's miracles, it comes from presence in the moment. So you drive a car around the block and you park it, and whatever shock you got from having it disappears. But being awake, everything from a sunset to a corpse looks beautiful. So you have to be awake. This shock into presence that you might get from a toy is short-lived and not real. But awareness and consciousness that comes from work itself, that comes from being engaged in the world. When you see every flower driving down the street, when you see God's miracles, that's because you're awake. So you see a sunset and it shocks you. You go back there every day, but it's the shock of that sunset, the beauty in that sunset that gives you happiness. And you want to be, present and awake. That's what life is about.
Russell, I'm taking notes over here. By the way, my name is Stanley. I'm the engineer. I have a question for you because as Selena and almost everyone that I know says about me, I'm a workaholic. And I say that proudly. I love to work. I feel purpose every day in having something to do. And I guess I could say I'm in that group of people, who are listening and who are in the studio, who we want to be like you. We want to be able to attain the level of success that you have had. And Selena, who's always...
It's nice to see your work affect people.
It definitely is.
It's nice to see your work affect people. But you can affect people in the smallest ways and get the greatest satisfaction. In other words, is God favoring Bill Gates because he gave $1 billion? Is he favoring him over, or billions? Is he favoring him over the person who's actually administering the drugs in Africa, the person who's actually saving the lives? No. So is your work, and the world is going to keep spinning and it's in perfect order.
Yeah.
But what you do to change the world is minimal. What you do, your intention in this world is everything.
So what would you say is your intention in this world?
No matter how rich you are, you can only fit your ass in one seat.
You're right about that.
So
yeah.
Everything else, the idea of being comfortable in your seat is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We only got a minute to be here. We should be happy.
You're right.
Happiness is something that you can't get on the outside. It's only on the inside.
I hear you.
Very deep.
So, but what's your intention in this world, Russell? Like, if out of all the amazing projects you work on, what do you think is just that one driving point or factor or push that you had that you get the most satisfaction from?
Thing that's in front of me, if I'm lucky. The record that's playing on the radio, if I'm lucky, is my favorite record. I don't want to turn from it. I want to be in it.
Mm.
I hope that I'm awake and alive in the second, because in this second is supposed to be where the beauty is. And sometimes you achieve it through different things, through meditation, through yoga, through playing basketball, through whatever it is, through sex. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, when you're awake. So it's not the outside stuff, but it's what it brings you to on the inside. And many practices bring you inside. None of those things cost money. None of those things are real on the outside, but the things on the inside cause all happiness and sadness. So you have to really work on digging inside, because you can't find it on the outside.
Wow. Very powerful words again.
Now, listen, I'm not saying people don't like toys.
Yes.
Right, so I know you're going to like, damn, that's some rich shit he's saying there. That's, I know how you're... But, no matter how... you cannot achieve happiness through money. Money doesn't make you happy. Happiness makes you money. It attracts money. Stillness attracts everything. And the world unfolds in front of anybody who's still, who can see the world in its real time. But the distractions of the mind and noise, that makes sadness and sickness. Mm-hmm. So you don't want that. Yes. So you want to try to do things that promote that kind of happiness, and you want to try to operate from that kind of abundance.
You know what? And as I was trying to say earlier, yes, these are such enriching, enlightening words. Definitely very powerful words. And we know that over maybe the last decade or so, you've been an advocate for meditation, and you became
medication for the first 30 years of my life.
She almost said medication.
Well, at one point, but now
yes,
but now it's meditation, and now it's yoga. And I just want to know, because you speak a lot about it in the books that you author, how is it that yoga can transform and meditation can transform, I guess, even people who are under like so much stress and so much pressure as someone of your status and yourself into absorbing and appreciating the little things, the little gratifying things in life, and, you know, gives you that pathway to tell us that, hey, you should look for happiness. You shouldn't be looking for just the toys.
No, I shouldn't say, you know, I'd say yoga is my path. You could be a good Christian. This idea of being living heaven on earth, this idea of nirvana for Buddhists, samadhi for yogis, or taqwa for Muslims, this idea of seeing the beauty in front of you, being awake, this is written in every scripture. It's not a yogic philosophy. You know, and everyone says be still and know. Operate from stillness. See what's in front of you. All the noise and distractions make you sick. There's a scripture, the second sutra, where it says yoga is cessation of the fluctuation of mind. Or when the mind is still, then there is yoga. Now, you could refer to yoga as God consciousness, or Christ consciousness. You can refer to it as Christ consciousness, this state of where you can see, because everything in front of you looks like a miracle when you're awake. And it actually is. So, you know, God's world is in perfect order. We out of order. So I'm just saying it's not a yogic thing, except that the science of yoga is, you know, repeats, or even, you know, 5,000 years ago they laid out a scripture that was simple, and it made the goal God consciousness, and that's the Yoga Sutras. But in the Bible they refer to it, in the Quran they refer to it, in the Kabbalah they refer to it, in the Buddhist scriptures they refer to it. This idea of being awake and being a good servant. This is it. They know this is it. There's nothing else. And that from there, you attract things, it's true, and sometimes you get distracted by those things, it's true. Puff says, or Diddy says, Puff, my man says, more money, more problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I'm not saying they're problems if you learn to give them. Celebrity is good for giving. You know, sometimes it distracts you, and it's good for getting. Mm-hmm. But you good givers are great getters, but celebrity is good to give. You know, I mean, it gets you stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff doesn't really have anything to do with your happiness.
Well,
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, you're right about that. More money, more problems. But you know what, Russ? To be honest, I'm broke. I'd rather have money and pick what I could be mad at.
I understand that.
You're doing something great, Stanley. Look, you're here.
Yeah, but I can't pay my student loans. And we have a lot of people, you know, who are listening.
So good balance.
Where, like, you know, we can't pay our student loans. We're struggling out here. And we have one person in particular who we called in. I lost the contact, but I wanted to ask a question for him. His name is Brandon Songdance. He's from the Bronx. And he wanted to ask
you know how to make an email send from a Samsung? Wait, how do you press send? Did anybody know that?
We'll tweet that. Can we tweet that answer
That's
to
why I'm messing
Uncle
with
Russ?
this BlackBerry 10, but I'm looking at this Samsung. Which button do you press to press send?
I have no idea. I can barely use my iPhone.
I got a BlackBerry 10. It's easy. The new one?
Yeah, the new
one? They
one?
gave it to me. It's easy to work with, but I'm trying to figure out this Samsung. I just want to know how to press send on an email. I wrote this long
Maybe there's
email.
a drop-down menu.
Have you tried yelling at it? I used to do that to my BlackBerry Bold, and sometimes it worked.
No.
Just will it to do it. Will it, you know, just say do it, and it might work.
If anyone has that answer, tweet Uncle Russ, put at @BeHeard_radio, and get that answer to Uncle Russ. He's trying to send an email.
Somebody just tell me how to press send.
Right. Listen.
Send on the Galaxy. How do you press send? If I wrote an email, and everything else, this BlackBerry 10 is intuitive. I'm looking at the Galaxy.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's really nice. A lot of people like it. I just don't know how to press send on an email.
Is it on the screen?
Huh?
It might have
I'm looking at the screen right now, yeah.
Maybe enter?
No, you don't know. If somebody tells you emphatically how to take this Galaxy 3 or 2, whatever it is, and 3, and press send.
All right.
I wrote a long email, like a book. And I don't want to erase it. What do you press to press send?
We're going to get that
All right,
answer
get back
to
to me on that. Somebody may call in.
Look,
what are you asking me?
We actually have a caller on the line. His name is Brandon Songdance.
Brandon.
Yes, Brandon Songdance from the Bronx. You are on Let Your Voice Be Heard. Please be heard.
Does Brandon know?
And if you know how to press send on email.
I definitely know, by the way. I think you, once you click on email, you type in your
I typed a long email. How do I press send?
You press send. It should be send right on the screen.
There's no send on this. No.
I can't believe this is happening right now.
You don't have it. You don't have a Galaxy.
Go click on the little button on
the drop
on the
down
left.
menu. The drop down menu.
Yeah, like the drop down, and it should say send, copy, paste, all that stuff, and you should be able to do that. Come on, Russ.
All right.
You'll figure it out.
Save and draft. I almost lost it. Okay.
So
all
what's
right.
your question?
Go ahead. What's your question?
What's your question, Brandon?
The question is, studying. I am a singer-songwriter, producer, artist, and I just work extra hard. I've been studying the game for a while. One of the person I studied is Kevin Lyles, who also talks about the decision between the 360 deal and going independent. I never really got information on how you feel about as an artist that grow his brand and able to do what he needs to do by himself, the decision to making to go in the 360 deal or going independent.
They pay you a lot of money and you want to sell your soul. You're selling your rights to sell stuff that they don't know how to make. They're not entrepreneurs, and most record companies don't know nothing about making a shoe or clothes or even making a decent merchandising deal, or they don't know a lot about a lot of stuff. They sit around when you become, and they help you a bit. They have money, and they help you a little bit, but really, you got to get yourself hot. It's like nobody's making nobody hot now. They don't have a staff to do that. They will get you on the radio at appropriate time. That's expensive. A lot of stuff costs money. But if you get a hot record, you throw it out the window, it stands up on its own. If you get a smash, nobody can stop it. If you get a good record, they can spend all the money in the world. It won't matter. So a lot of times these days, artists build themselves, everybody. When Curtis Blow, I got him hot in 1979 by playing the record so much in the club and making up an order number so the record company saw the orders. And then when we signed Jay-Z, he was hot on the street. I didn't do nothing. He was already had Ain't No Nigga in the street. We got that record, put it on Nutty Professor soundtrack. So most artists are not developed by labels. They build their brand on their own, and then they get signed. So labels not helping a lot in the music department, and they definitely not helping you get a Toyota commercial. Wow. They're not doing a lot of nothing.
That's true.
Very
true. Manager to do that. So giving away all. So if they give you enough money and you need the money, and that's your deal, then okay. That's up to you. But really, 360 deals in companies that don't understand it. You can go to Kevin Lyles, a manager who understands a little bit about various different industries and would help you fully exploit your celebrity. But
right.
But if you're a music guy, make the music. Put it online.
Make the music. Yes. Forget about the money. Hey, Russell, this is Patricia here. I'm a host here with Selena, and I've been listening, and I just have this. First, I have to compliment you. You have a very prophetic voice. Even though I don't necessarily, I'm not the people that you seek out. I don't listen to hip hop that much. I'm not into this, the urban fashion scene. Yet I still know who you are, and I know that because you talk so much about yoga, about veganism, about gay rights, about just in general human rights.
Animal rights.
Animal rights, that is true. And this is something that I connect with you with. And even though, like I said, I don't listen to hip-hop that much, I find it a lot of times it's very homophobic and it's very sexist. And
they're not so homophobic or sexist.
Right. So can you explain to me?
They say things you may not like, but they say things that people think. They're not more sexist than their parents.
I agree.
They're not more homophobic than their parents. They're not more racist than their parents. And they're not more gangster than this government. They ain't nothing about hip hop that's nothing but an honest expression of a mirror of some of the sometimes sickness in our society and sometimes real reality.
Right.
We are homophobic as a people. Sad.
So do you consider hip hop just to be this prophetic voice where they just represent society as it is right now, not necessarily as we wish it to be?
Yeah, a lot of times. Sometimes it's aspirational. You hear Jesus Walks, and you'll hear records that make you feel terrible.
Right.
The police chief's blaming Chief Keef for Chicago's violence.
Yeah.
He's a rapper.
Yep.
And he's showing you what's going on in Chicago. And we forget, but, it's 50 kids get shot in a week. We don't talk about it. We talk about the congresswoman in that same week. We talk about her. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to be talked about. But 50 kids?
A weekend in Chicago over this summer.
That's not even newsworthy.
It really
We
isn't.
don't talk about a lot of stuff, and so a rapper says it, and we're like, wow, is that real? Yeah, that's real in some communities in Chicago. It's crazy, right? And around the world, around the country. What's going on in the urban communities, the lack of opportunity for young African Americans, the hopelessness for minorities in this country is on the rise.
It definitely.
Does anybody know how to press this send?
I actually have Russell. I have the answer for you. It's from at Mikey21. He says the upper right hand corner, the triangle shaped button. He sent a picture on Twitter. And
he sent a picture on Twitter.
Yeah, he tweeted you, but it's the upper right hand corner, the triangle button, and he sent you a picture of it on Twitter. At Mikey21.
Yeah. So try that out.
Every time I press the upper right hand corner button, it says add recipients. That's all it says.
Try adding Selena to the email. I don't know.
Is it triangle? I don't know.
Not a triangle.
Well, Mikey.
All right, okay.
We're going to keep working on it. And as we keep working on it, I need to throw this out there. And we also have a call on the line. Before we get to the caller, you mentioned a very important thing, Chief Keef. Now, at my brief stint at Global Grind, working and covering the political campaign, Chief Keef was something, he's this person that almost symbolizes a lot of things that people think is going wrong in hip-hop. He was handpicked out of the gang and gun-infested streets of Chicago. And, of course, he has this platform to showcase his talent and his voice. But on the other hand, he kind of is glorifying the same elements.
Was he handpicked or did his records, was he hot in the street?
He was hot. He was definitely hot in the street.
They didn't say, let's look for the dumbest one we can find. The reality, he got hot because kids wanted to hear that reality, that truth. So I'm not saying that, we want to raise kids with that mentality. I'm just pointing out that street mentality and those records he made stood out above the rest. There's another kid across town or even in his neighborhood who could make a gospel album, and it could be big if he makes it. But this kid, you're more likely to hear a street record from the street than you will, unfortunately, an inspired, and you may hear inspiring records, but you're more likely to hear a street record. And that's a sad reality, but that's our truth.
Selena, you getting late to love Sosa.
No, and believe me, and I support, he does have talent, and that's undeniable, but I just want to know, like, the hip-hop industry itself, is there any responsibility or accountability being that, he is only a teen, and he is only talking about what he sees and what he knows, and yes, it's reality, but what about the
as a manager, I always said, explain what it is you're saying. Don't just say it. They had a song, I remember a group, the South Central Cartel, and I spent so much time with them. I said, well, explain what you mean by in Gats we trust. Mm-hmm. They in their record, they said, we don't trust the police. We don't trust our parents. They didn't trust nothing. They trust their guns. Scary.
No, and it is scary.
So they explained it, though, in their record. They were more... So, I mean, I like to give people, challenge them. I like to have them, be more... and I try to give them direction, but you can't, I haven't done it in 15 years, so I can't say what I do today, but I can tell you that I always wanted an explanation. But that was me, but, I didn't want to alter their truth. I wanted to be careful not to try to, frame their messaging. I was, I said one day to Public Enemy, your Uzis, they had your Uzi weighs a ton. I said, your Uzi is your gun and your bullets are your words. And cause that's what it was. And that's what I said, actually. That's how because I knew that's what they were doing. And so they had my Uzi weighs a ton. And then they evolved from there because they had political and social messages that mattered to a lot of people, and people bought into it. So sometimes an artist, is inspired by his audience. He does more of what his audience asks for. And it may be natural. It may not be a catering to or patronizing anybody. Just maybe an honest expression. And then it is true that the masses get hold of it and they kind of ask for more. They become thirsty for more, and the artist then feels that and is inspired to do it. So, Public Enemy became this great voice of revolution and a big support system for Minister Farrakhan, who at the time was such a big inspiration, became a greater inspiration because of them. And it was a great cycle of good inspiration for our community.
It definitely was. We actually have a call on the line that I do want to get to, Russ. Scott Morris, let your voice be heard.
So how you doing? I just wanted to say that you guys, by the way, are having a great show, and I like what you guys are talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm a big fan.
So did you have a question for Russell?
Oh, yeah, I definitely did. Russell, how you doing? My name is Scott Morris. I was just curious, how does someone like myself, who's up and coming and really was able to create some type of movement to make things happen within New York, right now, how would someone like myself be able to seek mentorship from you so that I can continue to be on the right
Well, what do you
path?
want to do?
With me, I want to be an entertainer. What I do right now is I'm an artist. I do radio on 2 different college stations. I host a lot of different events in New York City schools, and I also organize a lot of different events. I was able to put together this college tour, which is called the Dean's List, and it provided a lot of different artists who rap, do poetry, like sing different stuff, an opportunity to let people see that this generation is filled with tons of talent, and we are the next upcoming people that people will be inspired by.
Listen, let me say this about my mentorship. There's not a lot to learn from me that's not in my book. Super Rich is everything I've known to be true. Everything else, everything goes. It's transient. But the truth about moving towards a better space in the world and being more productive is in that book. It's about looking inside and gaining strength and using that strength to be a better catalyst to move things around and to inspire people and to then in turn inspire yourself. And the cycle of inspiration goes and also giving, how to really get your heart into your giving. Because I can say all day, be focused. But how do you learn to focus? It may not be that you just decide to be focused. It may take you to learn to meditate. It may take you to learn to push through things that seem hard and find happiness in that pushing. You have to find the strength and also find what's in the center of your work that inspires you, that makes you better. And so there's practices that help you to fine-tune yourself to become a better giver. And like I said, good givers are great getters. So, you learn your craft, and you give as you learn, as you give, and you keep giving, and that's it. Give till they can't live without you. And then, they start to reward you with toys and things and all that, and that's good. But it's really the work itself. So you have to just, you look down. There's books on music. There's books on the state of the music industry. There's law books on the contracts. There's lots of information available. The internet is crazy. Anything you want is there. And the spiritual strength that I refer to, and the practices that I refer to, are written in the scriptures over and over again. And what I wrote is based on how I reflected on what I did do well, and how I realized that my experiences are based, my good experiences are because of following some of what's in these sciences, and my future experiences, I at least have the knowledge of what's written and taught to everyone about how to deal with the world. Jesus taught 2 sermons. He taught the masses, good givers are great getters. So giving promotes receiving. But he also taught his disciples, and the masses, by the way, got money and paid the Romans their taxes on time. But the disciples, he said, keep giving without regard for result. You have control, and Krishna says you have control over the work alone, but never the fruit. And what they mean is you have control over your work, and it should make you happy, and the return will come when it comes, on God's time. So he taught that to his disciples, Jesus did, and the disciples didn't have to worry about paying the Romans on their money because they were such great givers that they received so much in return. They were always sought after because they were great givers.
Yes.
So they did the good work without trading the world, and that work is even more blessed and more revered and more productive.
Mm-hmm.
The person who comes to work every day and just makes everybody happy, that guy, and if he can make everybody happy, you're a good servant, what is a servant but a president? The president makes everybody happy. He learns the craft of the guy he's helping to the point where the guy has to ask him how to do his own job. If you're an intern and you come in and you show the promotion director how to do his job, one day the promotion director is going to call you boss. And he's going to keep serving. And then one day the whole company will call you boss. That's Kevin Lyle's story.
Very true. The gift of giving. Russ, we just want to switch gears before we let you go here. Just want to talk about politics because, you were very heavy in the political scene. You have active voice, especially against gun violence. And we see everything again. We've brought up what's going on in Chicago. And recently, a while back, In January, you actually said something that kind of got misinterpreted. It sounded like you were saying, we need, and you were advocating for nonviolent mediators in schools, which some media outlets interpret as.
When I'm talking about peacekeepers, like members of the Nation of Islam, Captain Dennis Muhammad specifically created something called the peacekeepers, and we have them in 20 cities or so, where the peacekeepers patrol the streets. And the difference between some churchgoers and some streetgoers who, the nonviolent programs that are in the streets are very, very effective. People who know the streets. You know what I mean? There's the nation. They stood on your corner years ago. They didn't care nothing about you. They just tell you, don't do that, man. But they wasn't afraid to stand next to you, and they would speak to you because they came from the street themselves. And those people in the hood who want to patrol their own communities just to be out there as peacekeepers, they can direct you to where you need to go, where's the rehab, where's the, and there's nonviolent programs that we have. Man Up in Brooklyn, we have.
But is this the answer to gun violence? Is this the answer to gun violence?
The answer to gun violence is mentorship to our youth.
Mm-hmm.
Going out there and with more guns ain't gonna. What you gonna do? You gotta teach them something different. They're hopeless. They need mentors. They need father figures. So to have those men, counselors in the schools that know the street, that we have history with, that we've trained to be peacekeepers, could be helpful. And it is helpful in places where we are executing.
That is very true. They are actually very effective. He's talking about the peacekeepers again,